Hey, everybody. Welcome to Happy Businessing with Suz. I'm Susan Fessenden with Profit Logics. And my recurring co-host this week is Andrea McDonald with Pro Tax and Accounting.
Hello,
hey, Andrea.
Hi.
Awesome. Well, I think we should introduce ourselves a little bit. I have 25 years of real, legit, hands-on business management experience. Spent my career out there working in things from working in accounting to ops and HR and culture development, executive leadership. And now I've put all of my experience into one toolbox, the 5 missing pieces. I'm hearing some noises. What do we know what that is?
The clicking, can you hear that?
Yeah.
That's the keyboard behind me. Sorry.
That's okay. We will just not worry about it. That's fine. And so I took all of my experience, put it into this framework, the 5 missing pieces to help small businesses grow a strong foundation so they can grow fast and strong without the wheels falling off. Andrea, what is your backstory?
All right. So I am a CPA here in Virginia in the US. I have been in accounting for a little over 20 years. Doesn't feel like it, but here we are. I started my firm in 2013, so I've been solo practicing with my amazing staff since then. And we focus on small business accounting, taxes, personal taxes, tax planning, and all those financial things, all the fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, You guys, one of the reasons I really wanted to have Andrea on my show, we actually did a live a couple months ago, and it was one of the best lives I've done. And I am so blown away with Andrea. A lot of CPAs are just focused on tax scenarios. And what I've really liked about her is she has the background and experience to also understand the managerial accounting side, like what is practical from a cash flow and business management experience. So kudos to you, Andrea, you rock. And that's why I love talking to you so much. You get it. You get the big picture, everything is not just what's your tax situation. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
So what game is that back there being played? My husband's a gamer.
I'm not. It's all so over my head. If it's got more buttons than a Nintendo controller, I'm out. I can't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, my husband, no, I love it. My husband's a serious gamer. And I can't believe how much time he spends playing his games, but he's really passionate about it. He has different alliances and they have different strategies. Yeah, hi.
That's my son, Eric, y'all.
Nice. And he got me into playing this game called Empires and Puzzles. And oh my gosh, it's super fun. And so now I've been playing that for like a year and a half, 2 years now. And because I used to just play Candy Crush to relax. This is like Candy Crush with the strategy and with like battlefields and things like that. So it's been really fun. Anyway, that is awesome. All right. So what are we talking about today?
We've got all kinds of good stuff. So we wanted to focus not only on the accounting side, but we want to talk about common mistakes that small business owners make. I know a lot of my conversations with business owners do center on the accounting side of things, but I've participated, put on several small business workshops, and we like to talk about not just the numbers, but other areas that business owners tend to struggle and common mistakes they make, and maybe some strategies to help you not make those same mistakes.
Yeah, that would be nice. Learn from others' mistakes. Don't make the mistakes we've seen. And, this is where we have spent our careers, right? A lot of times from an accounting perspective, we're on the front lines of seeing what's going wrong in companies or, coming in and trying to make things better. Because everything that goes on in your company flows to the numbers, right? Yeah. Eventually, ultimately, right? All right. So those of you who are watching, we'd love for you to drop us comment. You are free to ask us questions and we'll try to answer some on the fly. And since we're on StreamYard, there should be a link up there. If you click that, it will actually show us your name too as we see your comment. So I see someone has said hello, thank you, but I just can't see who you are. Apologies. From this interface, we don't see the name unless you give it permission. All right, so one of the ones that we talked about was, this might actually surprise people, growing too quickly. What the heck, Andrea? How is growing too quickly a problem? That should be a good thing.
So more is not always more, right? Sometimes less is more.
Yep.
Some of the struggles that I see, a lot of the small business owners that I work with, when you expand too quickly, first and foremost, you don't have the infrastructure in place to handle it. I made this mistake in my own business.
Yeah.
When I first started, I acquired a franchise. And then the second year, I acquired 3 more franchise territories. So within a year, I owned 4 territories. It was insanity. Wow. I didn't have proper staffing. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So I made the very same mistake that I coach other business owners not to make. Yeah. So it can happen. So when you grow too quickly, things like not having the proper infrastructure, and that means not having the staff in place, not having facilities in place, not having cash in place. Cash is the big one. If you grow too quickly, you may have more money coming in, but odds are you're going to have more money going out. And sometimes that imbalance can lead you to some pretty serious cash flow problems. I'm sure you've seen the same.
Oh, totally. All the time. And that's why, I say things like growing sustainably so the wheels don't fall off. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because I've worked for a lot of entrepreneurial types. That's where I built my career. I was always drawn to people that would have like 5 to 15 businesses they were starting or growing or doing at one time. And there is a thing as going too fast and not really doing some planning, preliminary planning helps.
Yep.
And, a lot of times some of them would grow way too fast and we would overhire employees, like hire too many people. We think, oh, we have all this business. We got to hire. But you got to slow down and make sure that the decisions you're making are really prudent. And make sure that, yes, you have the infrastructure in place, and cash flow is one of the most important pieces. Being able to project out your cash flow really in a detailed manner to make sure you know what's happening.
Yeah, and think about it think about all the things that bad cash flow affects, right? So you run the risk of not being able to pay your employees. Now you're dealing with employee satisfaction issues and turnover. You may not have cash to pay your vendors. Now you have unhappy suppliers, and you may lose suppliers, or they may increase the terms and you're paying crazy interest rates. You may not be able to make loan payments, and now you're incurring late fees. I mean, it's a whole waterfall, like trickle down effect. And I know we've all heard if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So scaling should be one of those areas that it should be planned growth. It should be planned out. Can't always control it. Sometimes you have an amazing product or an amazing service and it just takes off, but definitely pump the brakes if you have the ability to, and be strategic in how you grow, because otherwise you could run into some pretty serious issues.
Absolutely. And this is where, if you're new to business, that's a great time, if you hadn't done the planning, to hurry up and hire an advisor of some sort, get a mentor, to help you navigate that and put some planning and infrastructure in place. How about you guys? Do you have questions? What do you think is the top mistake that small business owners make? Drop your comment here. And if you have a question, we are happy to try to answer it. Thanks so much for being live with us. Woo!
Yes.
So let me pause for a second. I'm going to do a shout out to all the places that we are live. It's pretty cool. I'm streaming to 8 places simultaneously. So first and foremost, we have my small business owners group, my little bitty one called Skyrocket Your Biz. It used to be Business Resource Advice and Inspiration. It was too long of a name. Okay. We called it Brain. Hey, Brainiacs. How you doing? Women's Entrepreneur Network. This is a group of 70,000 amazing female business owners. And it was founded by Haley Gray. She's also another one of my recurring co-hosts. And, don't worry, you guys, that group is not just for women. Haley Gray says it's for women entrepreneurs and very smart men.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're also streaming live to Small Business Owners United. This is by far one of my favorite business owners groups on Facebook. 80,000 diverse small business owners, and it's an amazing community. We're constantly throwing out tons of free advice, and people are sharing their business stories in there and supporting each other. So if you're not in there, look for it. Small Business Owners United. Join that. Also was invited to start going live in Bedrock Business Builders. This is Joe DiChiara's group. Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Bedrock people. And then I'm streaming to YouTube, and yay, finally LinkedIn. LinkedIn a few weeks ago finally approved me to go live. That's awesome. I got to tell you though, going live on LinkedIn has kind of like stressed me out a little bit because I'm like, okay, I got to bring my A game now.
LinkedIn is serious. Now you're in front of the real business players.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. All right, Lori. Lori's on with us. Thank you so much. Lori also goes live with her business partner in Small Business Owners United, talking about recruiting and attracting and retaining top talent. Lori says, spending money. I'll show this comment. Spending money on the wrong things. Yeah. You can avoid this, right? Again, by having a plan, planning out your business, doing, very detailed projections. And if you're doing this right, you should know where 98% of every dollar is going to go as you're growing this business. Sure, there are going to be things that just come up, but plan your attack, you guys. Plan your attack.
Definitely.
All right. Number 2. Let's see here. What do we have? Okay. So one that I have thought of often is, especially with COVID and all of these small businesses struggling so much, and honestly, not having an easy pivot path because everyone kind of had to screech. Now what do we do? Oh my God. My brick and mortar business, is now struggling because of COVID. So you need to have multiple revenue streams, whether there's a COVID situation or not. Whatever your core piece of business is, that's great. Stay true to that. But, if you're able to consider other revenue streams that are related, whether it's an adjacent market or another type of offering, it's really important as a small business to spend time developing that. What do you I'm going to put this, I have been putting these in the comments, Andrea. So maybe while I type, you can take it for a little bit.
Yeah. So think about, as you were talking, I'm trying to think about some industries that really had to do the what dance this year, trying to figure out how to stay in business. A big one that comes to mind, like an industry that took a hard hit are restaurants, right? So restaurants that specifically cater to the sit down crowd, that dine in was their main option, they were especially hard hit. And so figuring out ways to accommodate the takeout only and the curbside delivery, being able to quickly make those decisions when a lot of them probably, I would venture to guess, never even thought that what happened this year could happen. I mean, how many of us saw this coming, right?
Yep.
Nobody saw it coming. So taking a situation and not really having a whole lot of time to figure out a way to pivot and stay in business. So restaurants hard hit, figuring out ways to have money coming in. I have a client who, they are a delivery company. They don't drive for like Uber Eats or anything like that. They have a specific company that's just for delivery driving. And one of the ways that they pivoted is they will pick up and deliver your vehicle to service appointments, right? So maybe people who don't want to be out in public, don't want to take their car to the mechanic shop because they don't want to be potentially exposed, or for whatever reason, just don't want to be out and about. Yeah. This company will come with a chase driver, pick up your vehicle, drive it to its service appointment, do the walkthrough afterwards, and bring your vehicle back to you. So that was one of the ways that they had additional revenue coming in during a time when their delivery business was really hurting, because initially, even delivery business restaurants weren't open. They had to shut down because restaurants weren't allowed to be open at all for a period of time here anyway. Right. And so just thinking of different ways. Now, of course, that they understand that the worst could happen. It has happened this year for them. Yeah. They're a little more on point with having ideas lined up.
Yeah. Another industry that's really been struggling is like gyms and, like physical fitness location, personal trainers, all that. I was just talking to a business owner, 12 hours ago, and they're dying on the vine. And, people need to be safe, and, they're concerned about going into gyms, and different areas are going on lockdown, saying, hey, certain types of businesses are super spreader areas, in our opinion. So, they're making it very difficult for some of these small businesses to do what they do. And, I had a similar conversation with someone about 6 months ago. And when this was first happening, like the first round of, oh shit, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked about different things that they could do. And sometimes you just need a brainstorm buddy to help you come up with, how do we pivot? How are we going to come up with another revenue stream? And in like 5 minutes, we came up with 3 ideas, and they were things that they were able to implement. Nice. Doing things like a subscription workout support system, or weight maintenance support system, virtual training, e-courses and things like that. Now, obviously, it's way harder to start from zero on these types of things when you're already in a financial crisis. Mm-hmm. So that's why, before a crisis happens, if you can start considering these other revenue streams, including making some that could end up being passive, you're going to better insulate yourselves from things that happen like this. All right. Thanks for watching, you guys. Ask questions, leave comments. We are here for you. We are talking about 5 common mistakes that small business owners make. All right. I like this one a lot. Don't undervalue your products or services.
That's a big one.
Yes.
And I feel like we're all probably guilty of it, or at least we're at some point.
Yeah. I'm just putting it here. I struggle with this myself, and I struggle with it for different reasons, right? So there are, mindset coaches and revenue coaches, sales and marketing coaches out there, right? And anytime, you talk about pricing and where you're at with pricing, and you're talking about this subject of potentially undervaluing your services, most of the time they come from a place of, well, you need to have more confidence in what you're offering. Don't undersell yourself. But it's not always that. Okay. So for my situation, I truly love what I do. I would honestly do this for free. Yeah. And because I have seen so much and so many small businesses fail, it's really important for me to stay accessible to the people that need me the most. And those are micro businesses, family businesses, people just starting up, and nonprofits. They don't have any money. Right. They typically can't afford me to be on their team. Right. And so, one of my struggles related to this is, how do I structure my services so that they are accessible to all those businesses that I really care about, in a way that I can also run my business profitably, right? And so what I usually do for people is I kind of, because I'm so intimate with what their business is doing, I know exactly where they're at financially, generally, before I even start working with them. And so I structure my engagements based on what, I think their budget can handle reasonably. It doesn't do me any good to drain my clients of their cash at all, right? I know that they need to hold on to some cash. So I'm always looking at that when I am taking on a client, trying to be super conscientious and be a good steward of the position that they are in their business in that moment. But this isn't going to work for most of you. Most of you, really need to be driving that revenue. What do you have to say on this, undervaluing your products and services? I know that, you've been doing this a long time, and you're in, accounting and tax. These are services that every business it's like a business must, right? It's an essential. How do you tackle this?
This is something that I've struggled with my entire time as a business owner, because like you, I really enjoy working with micro businesses, right? So in the bookkeeping and tax world, there are the bigger players, the local, bigger regional firms, the big 4. Small micro businesses are not sexy to those accounting firms, right? There's not enough skin in the game for them to even pay attention. And as a small business, I wouldn't really want to work with a big four firm anyway. I would feel super intimidated. I look for more relationship based. And so the way that I work with micro businesses is very much like you do. So I've struggled with this from the start. When I started my business, it was like, if you had a pulse and a wallet, we were going to be talking, right? Like we were going to be ideal partners. And I feel like a lot of people start their businesses that way. Over the years, I've refined my processes and I've refined my screening processes and, who I want to work with, but I still struggle with scope creep where, I quote a price based on ABC services, but then I end up giving them
totally
D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P for no added charge. I can't help myself because I like what I do.
Right.
It's, and you hear a lot if you're in a service industry, especially in a financial field, value pricing, right? That's what everybody's talking about these days. You need to price based on the value you bring to a firm. Well, I'm a small business owner myself. I couldn't afford to pay for an accountant the value that I bring to my own business. So I can't really expect the small business owners that I work with to pay based on the value I bring. I like to think that I bring more to the table than they're even paying for.
Yeah.
So it's a struggle. And when you're selling a product, you have a market, right? So you can pull the market and have a feel for what your product should be priced at. But when you're offering a service, you don't necessarily have that same thing. And bookkeeping and tax is really at the point now where it's a commodity. A tax return is a commodity. So there's a certain amount of market research I can do to value it, but it's a hard question to answer, and it's different depending on what industry you're in and whether you're offering products or services, but it's definitely something that every business owner should be looking at.
Yep. Well, I find that super refreshing. It's nice to know there are other, people like me that find it a challenge. It's not a confidence issue that I'm keeping my prices low. Not at all, right? Like you and I both know the value and the impact that we have on these businesses. It's irrefutable, right? But it does get tricky when, we're here to serve. We want to serve and grow our businesses. And, we want to help the people that need it. Hey, Randall, how are you? Thanks for saying hi. Oh, here, I'm going to show his comment. Thank you.
Yeah, so true.
So hard to price and feel fair. It's a struggle. Yeah, it's a struggle when, you're a business with a larger purpose, right? And I talk about this purpose beyond profit being so important to the culture and growth of your company. Of course, the purpose of a business is to create a profit. Absolutely. If you don't have a profit, you're going to die. But, I like to recommend that small businesses and all businesses have a greater purpose in mind beyond profit, that they are, the impact that they're trying to make either on the world or a community or the environment. And for me, it's helping business elevate to its greater purpose, which is the overall impact of small business. Small business is so important to me because I see it really elevating everyone involved in the small business, the employees, the community, all of that. So having a larger purpose can help you navigate this, but yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't have a good solution. It's like, this is the problem, but I don't have a good solution.
It's a case by case. This is where having some professionals, I call it part of it is setting your bail team. That's what the small business workshops, as a business owner, you want to set your bail team. You want your banker, you want your accountant, you want your insurance person, and you want your legal person. You want them all. You need to have a team surrounded. I would argue that you need a profit coach, a business coach. So having that team in place so that when you do hit those struggles, you have people that you can go to for mentorship and guidance. And a lot of small business owners don't have that team in place, whether it's, financial reasons, they don't think they can afford it. I don't know why, but I highly encourage that any business owner reach out to professionals and at least get a consultation. If you are having a specific struggle in your business, try to find a mentor. There is no easy answer to that one. Pricing is something that I still struggle with, even as many years in as I am now.
Yeah. Well, and speaking to that, I offer free chit chats, you guys, and there's a link in the post. If you want to book a call with me, I am happy to spend a little time with you, get to know you, and do some brainstorming with you totally free.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. All the revenue coaches out there are like, in fact, they've told me I should only offer 15-minute intro calls. And I'm like, what am I going to learn about their business in 15 rushed minutes where I could actually contribute to them? What? Anyway, so I give a half an hour, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, sometimes more. So if you need help, don't feel like there's no one to brainstorm with or talk to. I can be your business buddy.
That's the fun stuff.
Yeah, it is. I love it. I love this stuff. Okay, I'm putting up a new one. I'm putting up the new one. Common small business owner mistake number 4. Wearing yourself out, wearing too many hats. I think everyone can relate to this one. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yep, that's a common one. So we talk, and you and I think talked about this during our last live, right? It's the difference between working on your business and in your business. One of the biggest things I've struggled with in growing my firm is delegating. I have great staff. I have capable staff, but I birthed this business, right? This is my baby. I birthed it into the thing that it is now, and it's really hard to hand off. But I was getting to the point where I was starting to feel burned out, and I wasn't making myself as available to my clients because I needed some precious downtime. So time that I would have spent mentoring my clients and guiding them in their financial decisions, I was spending ignoring the phone and ignoring the emails because it was just too much.
Yeah.
So nobody benefited. I wasn't as happy. My clients weren't as happy. My staff, who was eager for more responsibility, wasn't happy. It was a lose, lose, lose. So wearing too many hats is a big problem. And when you're a small micro business and you're kind of bootstrapped and cash is king, right? It's hard to sometimes make those adjustments or to invest in the quality staff that might help you be able to step back from the business a little bit. But at some point you have to make change, right? You have to make room for change to happen.
Yeah. Well, and for me, someone that's always been a business generalist, that's how I, became VP of operations, right?
Yeah.
Because I see all the different pieces and I'm involved in all the different pieces. I'm used to wearing many hats on purpose.
Yeah.
Right. And so then in my own business, I had the hardest time trying to figure out what to delegate and when and to who am I going to trust with XYZ, right? And so the first thing that I hired, professional vendors for my branding. I hired professional vendors for my website, right? So I have that stuff locked down, but I was still struggling. And there are some things I'm just not good at, like designing impactful, interesting social media posts. Oh my God. I'm just not creative enough for it. And, I got Canva and I got some help and I tried to do it. I tried different social media scheduling tools. Like I did Social Mako and then I upgraded to Buffer Publish. And then, I finally just said, this is ridiculous. I must hand this off. And I couldn't be happier that I did, because it kind of secured a relationship that I had already been working with on other creative design work. This is Orana Velarde. She is now a part of the Profit Logics team. And, knowing that my authentic voice would still be integrated into that social media and knowing that every post that goes out is beautiful as well. Oh my God. It is.
Can't put a price on that.
You can't. Well, I mean, you can, because we all have budgets, right? But, just having her on my team and having her there and, knowing that social media is taken care of, I can't even tell you guys, I freed up something that I wasn't good at anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's a win-win-win. What do you think the first thing is that you delegated?
The first big thing was my entire social media, all of it. I found a local company. Yep. I outsource all of it. Her firm handles, they built my websites from scratch. I've got 2 businesses. She built both websites from scratch. She does all my Facebook, all my LinkedIn, all my blog posts. I review everything, but they put it all together and then I approve it and it goes out. So that was a huge relief. I was inconsistent in my social media. I'd hit Facebook once and then I wouldn't post again for 2 weeks and my website was old and stale. So outsourcing that, and it really helped me to grasp the power of delegating the things that are not needle drivers in my business, right? The things that aren't necessarily directly moving my business in the direction I want it to go. They're still important, right? There's urgent and there's important. And figuring out what should be handled by me versus what is still important, but could be handled by somebody on my team, whether that's an employee or an outsourced team member. Yeah. Huge. Yeah, that was a big one.
So Lori commented, this goes back to the beginning of this item number 4. We were talking about not wearing too many hats and making sure you can allocate time to working on the business and in the business. She says, we make Fridays a strict work on the business day. It happens.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That means 20%, at least 20% of your time is spent working on your business. That is a great ratio. Yeah. I don't know that I even can achieve that necessarily, but that's incredible. I think that's great. Thank you, Lori.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
We have one more left for you. If you have a question or a comment, post it soon so we can include it on the show. We are happy to talk about it, and we are so glad you're with us live. Okay, so this one, not having enough capital. This is sort of like a duh, Andrea.
I know, but and it ties back to some of the other ones. It ties back to planning. It ties back to, it's all intertwined. But yeah, not having enough capital. It sounds simple, right? But think about when you started your business, right? Did you have a business plan? And did that business plan include enough capital sitting in the bank when you launched to cover all of the needed expenses until you were revenue positive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Of course not. Very few people actually start their business that way. Come on.
Yeah. So, we talked earlier about growing too fast means you run out of money. Right. Yeah. So not having enough capital, cash flow to make payroll, not only making payroll, but think about cash flow to pay yourself, right? If you don't have enough capital and you're barely making ends meet, how are you paying yourself? You probably didn't start a for-profit business as a charitable endeavor. So you don't have enough capital means you're not paying yourself either. And then your personal life suffers and everything. Think about not being able to fulfill orders to customers. Maybe you can't keep staff, right? You can't pay them. They don't stay. You can't fulfill orders to customers. You can't pay your vendors. We talked about this with one of the earlier mistakes. Not having enough capital is a huge problem and common.
Yeah. And, the planning piece is really important. This means that you sometimes are going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait for certain investments in the business. You're going to have to hold that cash for other things that will get you sooner to immediate revenue, right? And so that means that, some of your structure, some of your foundation may have to wait. And I know I'm the foundation structure person, but you have to make those decisions very strategically, plan very carefully, so that you are putting enough resources into getting revenue first, quick to revenue, quick to some cash flow, and then you can start folding back in more of those foundational things as you become more stable. And I think that sometimes people, small businesses also take on lenders prematurely too. And you would like to think that, these, whether it's, an equity type of deal or a loan, you would like to think that these banks or decision makers making these loans are only going to loan if it's sounds right, like if you've done a good business plan, but that's not always the case. And things in your business change. And so, you want to have the capital to move around, but don't just rely on some loan. Don't just rely on some nest egg. You need to get that business generating its own revenue and cash flow ASAP.
Yeah, there's definitely a time and a place for borrowing money. There are strategic ways to use leverage to leverage your business, but it can't be what you rely on to make your normal, right? You need to have your operating capital. You can't rely on borrowing money to pay your normal operating expenses. Once you start doing that, you definitely have, for me as an accountant, I would have question about whether your business is a going concern, whether it has the ability to continue as a business. Absolutely. When you start dipping into borrowed funds to pay routine expenses, that's a big, big red flag for me as an accountant. And I know you go through that when you talk with people. So one of the advantages to working with somebody like you is you can look at not only the operations management side, but you can look at the finances, you can look at everything together. You can help advise clients when is an okay time to borrow, when they should probably not be thinking about borrowing. So it's a great full overview. Sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees when you're in the thick of it, right? Like you can't find your way out of the mess, and having somebody like you come in to look at the big picture, the top level picture, can just be a real game changer.
There was a company that, there's a story like this for every company I worked with. But there was a company I worked with when I started. They had maxed out their $750,000 line of credit with the bank.
Ouch. Yeah.
But they had stayed at that level for years. I mean, sure, maybe it wasn't totally maxed, but they were relying on that line of credit day in and day out for years.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my first goals was to stop that and wean them off of that line of credit. And, it was like a 5-pronged approach. We looked at profit and gross and margin on their products. We looked at cutting expenses. We changed the timing of, receivables and payables. We hit it from, where are we spending too much money and what can we cut? And increasing revenue, of course. How do we bolster sales? How do we empower the sales team? How do we improve the culture of the company so everyone is driving this change? And within 6 months, I shit you not, totally weaned off the line of credit.
That's amazing.
And guess what? I was there for almost 4 years. We never touched it again. Boom. I felt like a rock star for that, but it's a really key thing to talk about. But honestly, just the interest alone saved was what, 20 grand? 20
at least
a year in interest, 30 grand a year in interest. And that money goes back into the company, you guys. That's like, that's beautiful.
That's immediate cash flow. That's immediate cash in the bank.
Yeah.
Carrying around $750,000 of debt is pricey.
Yeah.
When you're carrying it every day.
If anything major had happened, there just wasn't even enough cushion to account for that at that point. But, that's one of the things I'm most proud of in my career, is that we were able to not just successfully stop relying on it to that level, we stopped needing to rely on it at all. And so then guess what? That big line of credit was there and available when we wanted to make large capital investments in the business.
That's what I was just about to say. Think about the power of having that kind of access to money.
Total game changer for that business. So things like that have a big impact. And, we kind of went over. That's okay, though. I mean, none of these groups have a tight 30-minute timeline. But do you have any last thoughts on this subject?
I just really encourage all small business owners to seek the advice of a professional. A lot of us offer free consultations. So even if you're not sure that you're in a position to afford to work with one of us regularly in an ongoing way, take advantage of free consultations. Yeah. We're heading into tax season. Take advantage of tax professionals who give free tax consults.
Yeah.
Find local bookkeepers or CPAs that will offer free accounting consultations. If for nothing else, then just to take a look at what you've got going on and maybe give you a different perspective. Yep. It cannot hurt. You invest a little bit of your time for hopefully a huge amount of return.
Yeah. Well, and I think that some people are almost hesitant to take advantage of these free calls and free consultations because they don't want to be freaking sold to.
Yeah.
I want you guys all to know, I do not make a pitch. Period. I'm just there to support you. Let us get to know each other, see what low-hanging fruit in your business we can, find for you to tweak, maybe solve that problem, give you some actionable advice. And, I don't really worry about the sales side because I know the value I provide. I know that down the road, they'll think of me and that's good enough for me. Okay. So please do not let the annoyance of thinking you're going to have some sales pitch coming out, or now you're going to be bombarded by emails from Profit Logics. I don't operate that way. I do very little email marketing. Take advantage of the free calls, even if someone does have a different perspective than me and has a pitch at the end. Go ahead and make that connection because you have no idea what the feedback of other business people and the impact that could have on your business. So try to keep an open mind. Most of us are in this industry because we're passionate. We want to help.
Yeah. I try to have everyone who leaves a discovery meeting with me leave with something they did not know when they arrived. Yeah. That's my entire goal.
Yeah.
It may take us 15 minutes. It may take us an hour to get there, but You're coming with some kind of problem. And if during that discovery call, I can solve even just one of those problems and have you walk away feeling a little bit lighter than when you walked in, it's mission accomplished. You may decide never to work with me because I solved really the only thing you needed solving. That's all fine and good. Hopefully you'll go tell all your friends about me. Yeah. I can't help it though. I can't help it. I start talking to people and they come and they're tired and they're stressed and whatever. And in an hour-long meeting, we can address all those pain points. It's like the most powerful feeling in the world. It's so intoxicating, and it's why I love what I do. Yeah. And I know you're exactly the same way. So we found our perfect industries.
Yep. So I see we scared your son away.
Yeah, well, I think he heard me talking about his clicking on his keyboard.
Well, I really appreciate you. Oh, Stephanie, thank you. Hey, you guys, I'm gonna actually show this comment real quick. So Stephanie, I'm super excited, you guys. She has also agreed to be one of my recurring co-hosts. Woot!
Awesome.
So I think it's going to be the third Tuesday of every month. Stephanie and I are going to be having chats. So super excited. And I really, really feel honored that she's going to work with me on this. So yay. Thank you, Stephanie. All right. So let's wind up. Andrea, you're a rock star. I really love knowing you in this business industry. And you know what's really nice is I know without a fact when I refer people to you, I have 1,000% confidence that you're going to do right by them. You're going to take care of them. You're going to look forward for them. And that makes me feel really good. Like I like to have, you know, service members and service vendors that I can refer to customers and feel really good about. And you're like one of the few that I feel like if I send someone to Pro Tax and Accounting, they're going to be okay. I don't have to worry.
Oh, thanks. That's like the best praise ever. I'll take it.
You're awesome. You're awesome. And I tell people this behind your back all the time. Yeah. All right, you guys. Thanks for watching Happy Businessing with Suz. You can follow Pro Tax and Accounting, Andrea's company. It's in the link of the post. You can book a call with me if you want. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.